Hello, and welcome to our 2021 Chat with a Featured Author. This is going to be our final one for this summer reading challenge, and I am so excited to have with us today Michelle Keener. She is the author of I think 7 published books now, and so she is absolutely fabulous. I cannot wait to talk to her and to have you guys meet her as well. And there she is. She is here with us. So I'm just going to go ahead and send her an invitation to join us. And then I'll remind you a couple of things about our summer reading challenge. All right, let's see if she can join in. I sent you an invitation and we'll see if it works on the first try. What?
Hey, Joy, how are you doing?
I am doing great. It is so good to get to talk to you.
I know, I'm so excited. I'm like, I get to see my friend Joy. And there's like way too much of my face in this video right now. So I'm just going to scoot my phone back. Wow. Like, yeah, you ever turn it on? You're like, that's a lot of me. Yeah, this is a lot of me.
I completely understand. I feel that way all the time. So let me do a really quick, just letting people know what the summer reading challenge is. So we do have one more week after this week. And the summer reading challenge, you can go in my, I don't know what these things are called. Y'all, I'm still getting used to Instagram. But the stories, I think, the saved stories, there's one for the summer reading challenge and it tells you all the details. But basically, it's just an opportunity to get together over a love of books. So we've been talking about books. We've been meeting incredible authors like Michelle. And we've also had a challenge. And you'll see that in there as well. So we have like 8 categories of books that you can read. And there are prizes, which is like the coolest thing. So for this week, Michelle is super generous, and she is giving her all 3 of her red carpet romance books autographed with some other extra swag that I'm a little jealous about. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself and a little bit about those amazing books.
Okay, well, Joy, thank you so much for having me. One, I'm just grateful for the support and the encouragement because writing's a tough business, and I know you know that. And so to have good writer friends, it's what I said yesterday for Thankful Thursday. I mean, it's such a blessing to have people that are willing to come alongside you and be like, new book, cool, let's talk about it. So I'm grateful for that, really. So a little bit about me. My name's Michelle. I live in Southern California, so it is super sunny and super lovely out here. And I have been writing for a really long time. My first book actually came out in 2007. But this series that we're doing right now, the Red Carpet Romance series, the first one, Mission Hollywood, came out in 2019, right before pandemic time, right before it hit. And then the second book came out as soon as they locked us down here in Southern California. So that was all of my plans for, the connections, because they're all set in Hollywood. Super fun. Couldn't do anything. Everything was closed. So it's been quite a journey. So I'm really excited that the third book actually made it and that we actually have a third book, because there were times I questioned it. So anyway, that's the books I'm giving away. I'm happy to share them. I'd be excited if somebody actually wants to read them, like, yay. And then as Joy said, there's a couple of other fun swag-y type things that maybe I'll just have to send some to Louisiana. Share with my buddy Joy.
I know, I wish I could just send like crawfish and beignets and stuff, but you just have to come here.
I am holding that over my husband's head because, he's from New Orleans. So I said, Joy is going to cook for us. And he was like, I need to find us a conference. I'm like, yes, you do. So he's actually, he just joined here. That's my husband, by the way, overwrite, whatever. He's a hacker dude. So that's his handle right there. And he's in desperate need of gumbo and beignets.
Well, we have both, so come on. Y'all come on down. So, and also I have to say congratulations, because this is launch week for Farewell to Hollywood.
It is. It's been a crazy week. Just came out on Tuesday. And I forget every single time how chaotic and busy and stuff going on, how launch week is. So it's been a little bit of a blur, but super exciting, and I'm just really happy that the book is out in the world now.
I know, that's such a good feeling just in itself. I love that part. So yeah, I might be stalking the Amazon driver, like to see how where is he now?
Well, that's fun because I'm starting to get people are sending me pictures or tagging me in pictures with the book. And I was like, yay! But then there's that minor, like, terrifying feeling of, yay, they have my book. And then it's like, yay, they have my book. They're going to read it. So
Yeah,
it's this very strange emotional roller coaster being an author, right?
it really is. You got that right. Oh my goodness. Well, all right. So I have a few questions for you. And then we actually had one of our followers over on Facebook put some amazing questions up
Ooh.
today for you. So I'm excited to ask you those in a few minutes too. But first of all, tell me what has been your favorite thing about being an author? So we talked about how it's a little bit of a roller coaster sometimes, but what is like the best thing about it?
Honestly, the best thing about it is getting emails and messages, tagging on social media, whatever, just getting reached out to by readers who have liked the book. Not people who didn't like it, but people who like the book and who take something away from it, and say, hey, this really resonated with me. I actually just got an email. No, it was a social media message. I'm sorry. This morning from someone who got the book. They read it in one day. I was like, wow, that's awesome. And just the whole theme of forgiveness that's in the book really hit their heart. And they mentioned it and how powerful it was to read, or to see Kate's journey of forgiveness. And I was like, oh, so that just made me so happy. I think that's the best part. So readers, if you ever read a book and you wonder, maybe I should tell the author. Yes, you should. 100%. Definitely.
Definitely. And you never know. The funny thing about this is, and I've talked to several authors or I've read their blog posts about it, and it's funny how these messages come on like the perfect day. Like it might be a day where they're a little bit down, or it's just like, is this really even worth it? And so it's really amazing to hear that too, how it just always comes at the right time. So I've been doing a lot this summer, just encouraging readers to write book reviews because we know as authors, book reviews are huge. They're huge for us, but they're also huge for readers because, I mean, if I'm looking at a book, I'm going to read a few reviews to get an idea of if I'm going to like it or not. So, what for you, what do you appreciate most about book reviews?
I just appreciate, honestly, that someone's willing to take the time and post a review because it is like we know, like you read the book and you love it, and then you set it down and go to the next one. And there is a little bit of work involved to, I'm going to go to Goodreads or Amazon or Barnes and Noble, wherever your book purchasing site is, and actually I'm going to click this and then I have to type this, and then so yes, it involves work. So anytime someone is willing to go through that process and then say something positive, I'm ridiculously grateful for that. Like one, you read the book. Oh, that's awesome. And two, you're willing to go the extra mile to just demonstrate some support and some encouragement. And that just means so much. And I'm doing this interview. I'm in my office. So I can't show it to you, but upstairs in my bedroom last year for Christmas, my husband took book covers for 3 of my books, and then he printed out, like, you know, when you leave a review and it's got the title of the review, like, I love this book so much. He printed out all the titles of the 5-star reviews and he put them in a frame. So now every morning I wake up and I see these books that I loved so much and that I poured so much into, and they're surrounded by people who read them and who said nice things about them. So those reviews are such an encouragement. And it really is, it's a huge blessing. The good ones, not the, you know, not the hurtful ones, but the good ones are such a blessing, and there's such an encouragement, that it really is. So if you have ever left a book review, thank you very much.
Yes, we appreciate it.
We do.
So do you have any tips for writing book reviews?
I would say the biggest one is be honest, because I know sometimes I struggle. If I read a book, I'm like, well, I liked it. I didn't love it. Should I leave a review? Should I not? I think be honest. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And we're really not serving anybody if we read a book and we hated it and go leave 5 stars on it, right? So be honest. But I would also say be kind. You know, it's what was it Bambi, Little Thumper, who said, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all.
Oh,
But But be honest, but be kind if you can. And if it just didn't work for you and you don't want to leave a review, that's okay too. You're not obligated to do it. And then the other thing I would say is please don't feel obligated to tag readers in negative reviews or tag authors in negative reviews. Like, that's no fun. That's no fun to wake up to.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Not nice. There's not enough coffee to make the day better after that. Oh my goodness. Well, I absolutely love that your husband put that together for you. That's like, he's working on Husband of the Year award there for that.
He's a good one. Like, yeah, he's a good one.
I love that. So, all right, let's see. What else? I was going to ask you something else before I get to Terry's questions. Oh, that's right. Readers. So we as authors love to read as well. So what has been your favorite read so far this year?
Oh, let's see. Okay, so I have to confess, this year I haven't read a lot of fiction or fun books because I'm in a PhD program. So the books I have been reading are like thick and nonfiction, and there's a lot of Greek and Hebrew involved. So those would not be at the top of my list. But I can tell you, actually, the book that was non-school related, that was my favorite book of the year so far, I actually have it. Here it is. It's a nonfiction book. It's called Something Has to Change by David Platt. This book is amazing. Amazing. It will I shouldn't make broad statements. It'll change your life. It changed my life. I think the book is amazing, and I just loved it. It was about a pastor. He went hiking through the Himalayas. I mean, it's an amazing book. So this is probably my favorite that I've read so far this year. And I'm looking forward to next year when I might get to read novels again.
Yeah, there are like seasons and cycles as an author, because sometimes you're in the midst of putting out a bunch of books or whatever, and it's just different.
Yeah. And then unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, I'm lucky. It's a fortunate thing. The fiction works that I have read, I've been doing either critiques or endorsement blurbs for unpublished books. So those ones I'm not even allowed to say because they're not out yet. So shh.
Oh, that's so exciting. I love that part.
Those are the secret behind the scenes things. Those are those perks of being an author when you get like the unpublished ones first. I'm like,
yeah,
I know what's coming.
And then you can tell all of your reader friends, you're like, oh, you're going to love this book. Yep. Yep. All right. So Terry's questions are fantastic. Now, she gets pretty specific about your going back to Mission Hollywood. So let's see, is this the order she asked him? I guess it is. Okay. Did something like the mistaken limo ride happen in real life that you know of? And if not, where did that idea come from?
Oh, that's a good question. Thank you, Terry. So the mistaken limo ride, I don't have any personal experience with it. Originally, Mission Hollywood was that opening spot was supposed to take place inside the airport. So instead of Ben getting in the wrong limo, Lily was going to get on the wrong plane. So it was going to be a slightly different scenario. And then for logistics purposes, it just didn't work out. And so I shifted it to the limo. And I actually love how that turned out. And my son, who's 15 now, has read the books. And that's actually his favorite scene is, when Noah threatens to punch Ben because he's a little brother. And he's like, yeah. So no, it just kind of shifted. Honestly, for plot purposes, because the plane didn't work, so we had to put him someplace else. They ended up in a limo.
That's great. When something doesn't work and a scene doesn't work, at first as the writer, you're like just work. And then a lot of times it ends up so much better. That's neat. All right. So she also asked, is the church in Mission Hollywood based on a real place, or is it based on multiple sources of inspiration crafted into one place?
So it is actually based on a real church, but the church is not in Hollywood. So the actual kind of structure of the church, and then when I talk about it used to be a plumbing place and the concrete dock outside the church, that's actually based on a church my husband and I attended in Virginia. So we were members there for a long time when he was still active duty and we were in Northern Virginia. And the church was in fact a building that used to be a plumbing supply warehouse. And so it had this concrete loading dock and it had the big ramp. And so sort of the physical descriptions of the building, like all the way down to the way the sanctuary is set up, that's all based on my church in Virginia. So hi, Pastor Dave. That's where that comes from. And then I just kind of picked it up and moved it to Hollywood.
That's fun. I love that. Like taking places and putting them somewhere else, or taking inspiration from different aspects of different places and putting them together. That's a lot of fun to do in writing. So another great question. And she's got one more little clump of questions. So when did you, all right, let's see. Let me ask it and then make sure I understand what she's asking. When did you write your first story? Did stories come to you insistent that they be written, or did you decide to be a writer and then look for inspiration? Okay, so she's talking like overall, not just the with Mission Hollywood and all of that. So when did you write your first story? Did stories come to you insistent that they be written, or did you decide to be a writer and then look for inspiration?
That's a really good question. Terry's asking hard ones, but good ones.
No.
So I started writing, I don't know, as soon as I knew the alphabet, honestly. Like I don't remember a time in my life when I wasn't writing stories. And it was just kind of, you know how sometimes when you're in elementary school and you've got the kids who are the performers, or she's the violinist, or, you know, or he's the artist. I was the writer. Like that was just kind of, that was my thing. And I just kind of ran with it. And it was in junior high or middle school, that age group. I actually wrote a story. I was in a history class, and my history professor was not a nice man, and I didn't like him. And so I wrote a story about him, changing the names, obviously, but it was not complimentary. And I turned it in as an English assignment. Well, my English teacher ended up submitting it to a writing contest, and it won. So I had to stand up in front of the school and read this story about my 8th grade history teacher in front of him. And I mean, it was this weird combination of absolute mortification, but hey, look, I won an award. So it was this very strange combination of feelings to have to look at a man and describe. And I still remember this phrase. I don't know if it's embarrassment or guilt, but I still remember it. I described his sausage-like fingers. He was kind of, and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I don't know if he didn't know if it was about him. But anyway, so it just kind of, inspiration just sort of popped up sometimes in inappropriate places. And it still does, right? Like it still does sometimes. So anyway, that just kind of started it. And I just kept writing mostly for fun. And I would have, I had poems published in different magazines and in journals, but it was just sort of as my hobby. And then after my husband went to Iraq the first time, I ended up writing a book about it. And that sort of opened it up as a career path, because all of a sudden it was like, hey, people are willing to give me money to do something I already love to do. And so that's kind of what took it in this direction.
Was it hard? This is me tossing this in here just because I'm curious. Was it hard for you switching from writing that nonfiction book to writing fiction? I mean, obviously you'd written fiction in the past, but not to be published. So was that a difficult transition?
The writing process wasn't the difficult transition, but the publishing side of it was surprising to me. Like I really, when I wrote the memoir, I just kind of wrote it because I wanted to, and I ended up just weird kind of coincidences the way it got published. I really didn't go the traditional route, and I was very fortunate. I was very lucky in the way that it actually got published. And so after that, I wrote a novel. I'm like, well, here you go. And then all of a sudden, everyone was like, yeah, no, we don't do that here. I was like, oh, like I just didn't know enough about the publishing industry. I didn't know the right questions to ask. I didn't really understand both the written and unwritten rules. You know what I'm talking about, right? Of how the business side of publishing actually works. So that was really surprising to me. And I ended up, there was a gap of 12 years between books, because after the memoir, I couldn't get any of my novels published, because that was also when Kindle came out, which was, wow, a huge change in the publishing industry. And I ended up doing freelance work. So I was writing nonfiction for websites and magazine articles, and I did that instead for the paycheck, honestly, because I was getting paid for something that I love to do. And it took 12 years from book to book. And a lot of that was a learning process for me of what does publishing actually look like, and what does the business side of this creative endeavor look like. And they're very, very different.
Yeah, they are. And with Kindle and all of that coming on the scene, like you said, the publishing industry really changed at that point. And indie publishing took off. And yeah, there's been a huge shift in the publishing world, even in the last decade or two.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, that's something we could like totally geek out about. So, all right, well, we're going to kind of wrap it up because I know we've kind of been going for a little bit, but I want to know, what are you working on writing next?
So, book 3 that just came out on Tuesday is called Farewell to Hollywood. It's the end of the trilogy. We're wrapping it all up. Everybody lives happily ever after. That's not a spoiler. It's a romance. Y'all knew that was coming. But there may be a super secret book 4 in the works. So that's the current project. We're not going to go forward. We're actually going to go backwards. So it's going to be a prequel, which I'm actually stupidly excited about because I love the character and I love the time period that it's set. So we're going to go backwards for book 4, and if all goes well, it should be out next year.
Yay, that's so exciting. I love that. And I can't wait to read Farewell to Hollywood. And I love all your books. So,
Yay! Thank you so much, Joy.
well, thank you for joining us. And before we go, please tell everybody where you would love for them to hang out with you and find you.
You can find me all over the place. You can find me here on Instagram with, hi, here I am. You can also find me on Twitter and Facebook. All of my social media handles are the same. It's all at mkeenerwrites with a W, like WRITES, not right, even though I am often right. And then you can find me on my website at michellekeener.com. And if you subscribe to my newsletter, there's a free ebook that you can get. So those are the best places to connect with me. And I love interacting with readers and friends. So if you just holler at me on Twitter, I will reply.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming on here this week and for doing this. Y'all keep joining in each day. We'll have a couple more posts. We'll have a post tomorrow and on Sunday. And then on Sunday, we'll announce this week's winner. So yay. You guys keep just joining in, talking about books and stuff like that. And that's it.
That's it. Thank you guys. Thank you, Miss Joy. And thank you everyone who tuned in. And thank you readers everywhere, because none of this works without you.
That is right. Thank you so much. You guys have a great weekend.